Hey, I just moved to do this short video by I don't know. It's funny how I keep going on about this. It's my gloom and doom thing. But I'm not gloom and doom in general. I just consider it reality. Climate change. I know. Tired of hearing about it. I'm tired of hearing about it too. I'm tired of hearing about. Well, I'm more tired of hearing about Trump. But I just want to say. And again, I guess this must appease some sort of intellectual vanity of mine that I guess I enjoy. Yeah, looking inwards, I guess. I think I enjoy being right about this, just knowing that I'm right and everybody doesn't want to believe it or think about it or whatever. Like, that's got to be it. It's got to be, it's like, it's like the title of a book. It's pretty good, actually. A Pedant's Pleasure, pedant, like pedantry. Basically, someone who Steve Jobs pose. Yeah, gets off on sounding all learned and high and mighty, basically. Um, but anyway, whatever. Again, this is only Andrew, that anonymous person, who I call Andrew in these videos, will probably ever see this anyway. So whatever, doesn't matter. Uh, yeah. So anyway, I'm looking at an article, 2017. June 28th, so pretty much as new as it gets. It's like 3 days old. 4 days old, whatever. World has 3 years left to stop dangerous climate change, warn experts. Oh man. Uh, the really comforting thing about climate change to me at this point, even though I understand that it's basically gonna frig over everything in my within my lifetime. It already is, but I mean it's gonna noticeably do it, even more so in the future. But the only thing I can take comfort in is basically it was literally already decided before I was even born. It was, 1972. It was already done, right? Like, actually, that was around the turning point. That was around when there was a chance because, Jimmy Carter and, solar cells on the White House roof and and the Green Movement started. I mean, but they derailed it, right? They actually, big business and whatnot, did some stuff and took care of it, and instead we got the 80s and we got cocaine and Wall Street and all that, which is okay, I guess. It was entertaining, but it's led to 2017 now. So I'm just gonna go on about 2 points here, just to keep this video from getting too long. It's only 3 minutes, so I'll probably stay under 10. So for Andrew, that won't be any. That's probably pretty short because he'll put it in the background. So, but I'll keep it pretty short here. So this article, again, completely brand new. You know, basically, what is it? If they they want, they're talking about getting emissions down, as in reducing emissions, not stopping them, not making them go negative, like hugely negative, which would be what would be necessary to actually have an impact on the planet at this point, the situation on the planet. They're just talking about actually, I mean, slowing the growth in emissions, as in, the gigatons of stuff that's going into the air. And they're saying we have 3 years to prevent disaster. The changes we've already made, like according to the best science we have, the changes we've already made will, be in the atmosphere for the next million years. Like, so, anyway, but these again, it just shows how in a real emergency, it's like people at just at your job, at a normal job or whatever, convenience store, say, if there's a real emergency, most people literally, they can't deal with it. They freeze, or they run, or they just become useless, or they become hysterical, uh, because most people can't deal with an actual change, right? That is not something they can negotiate with, which is like sickness or old age or climate change. Your whole fucking planet, changing because of stuff. Anyway, but that's got to be it's cognitive dissonance, but that doesn't explain anything. Cognitive dissonance is description of what's happening, but it's like why. But it's got to be just it's too. The cognitive dissonance gap is too large, I guess. It's people just don't want to, But I just want to make 2 points. One of which is, like I say, this is a good, perfect example of, the modern state of dealing with things, which is basically talking about stuff. Like, actually, shit, I'm going to add another point because this one's just too juicy to ignore. Really, if we believe science and scientists, shouldn't we be, like, right this moment, shouldn't we be, like, disbanding all of the, places that are doing things like research into Greenland's ice and Antarctic ice and how fast it's melting? Again, there's a ridiculous disconnect in this, and I know, valuable data about what's happening. Yeah, but we know what's happening. The ice is melting. Things are getting warmer because of our emissions, which aren't stopping or even slowing down. They're getting, more vigorous. The ice melting in those places that's begun is basically irreversible. Well, again, the best science we have already tells us that. I mean, the experiments you could do in a bathtub would tell you that. With ice and water and melting, it's not that complex. Anyway, my point is, what's the point of turning out PhDs and spending millions of dollars and, research facilities to determine what? How fast it's going to melt? You know what I mean? I guess in terms of figuring out, how we can detect a disaster ahead of time. But they don't, they're not going after it like that. They're going after it just sort of a helter-skelter, yeah, great, here's your doctorate, you're going to go study the ice and see how this... It's just, it doesn't actually do anything. You know what I mean? The information they bring back. Well, the ice is melting even faster because, the ice is getting dirty because of the carbon emissions. Great. So again, it's already irreversible melt is going to melt even quicker. Again, what else can you tell me? This guy's going to spend his life writing papers about basically, you see my point? I don't even want to talk about it anymore. It's just kind of ludicrous. Basically, that problem or that, it's like, are our emissions affecting things? Are they making things warm enough to melt? Yes, they are. So that problem is, that situation is completely answered. There isn't any more research into that isn't necessary. The other one that I wanted to mention, and I guess some people might think I'm hypocritical in that, this comes from research, but again, we've had this answer for quite a while too. Again, it's almost like it's just bringing it to the forefront because it's actually going, it's in reality going to a certain place on the curves. So anyway, it's 2017, and the North Atlantic, the North Pole sea ice is, continuing its historical, pretty rapid drop to the point where, of course, in the summer, ice melts, and in the winter, it's colder up there, and of course, more ice forms or, is reinforced or whatever. Within 2017, within 5 years, so within, by 2022, but it could happen earlier, it could happen, hell, it could even happen this year. I don't know. The year isn't over. We're just hitting the summer now. Who knows? But probably not, probably by maybe, say, 2020, but within 5 years, the last of the summer North Pole sea ice will be melting. That's going to happen. That's inescapable physics at this point. But really, really soon, within 5 years. What this does, though, is this is a big thing because once it's completely clear in the summer, that is what we call a state change. Even though, it seems like, oh, okay, you have a little bit of sea ice left and then you have none. big deal because the little wasn't very much. No, like once, it's like dying and then being completely dead. There's a big difference between being, you can still say a few things and maybe do a few things while you're dying, but once you're dead, you're dead. That's a state change. So once the summer sea ice is gone, just once, because of the huge difference, and of course this is in summer again. This is when of course, and it's 24 hours a day up there, so it's there's an incredible amount of light and heat energy beating down there. Once you hit that state where there's no ice at all in the summer, in the sea, there's still some in Greenland on the on the land and everything, but in the sea up there, the amount of heat absorption goes up by, I don't have the math at hand, but it's a ridiculous amount, as you could imagine, because it goes from, the bulk of it being, of the sunlight energy being reflected back from this quite reflective, shiny or white surface, and to just like a dark, blue or whatever, just dark ocean, which of course sucks up heat like mad. So anyway, so when you look at it just from a point of practicality, again, I'm just talking about climate change here. The weather is already wacky. Like 2017, it is wacky. It is like just not normal everywhere. But here, especially, or well, here that here that I can verify because I'm actually living here, it is just complete. It's like we have a different. It's like being in a different country every year. Like you can have a totally dry year. Your floods every other month. Right now it's almost like Louisiana. We have thunderstorms. We have like once a day in the afternoon we have a brief downpour. We've had some really violent thunderstorms. It's more like something you see from what you think of the South or whatever, and it can get really hot and humid, like way more than it did before. Like just like not science fiction, but just noticeably the curves. If you're charting it, the curves are fucking way up. So within 5 years, so say 2020, just for average, we have the Blue Ocean event, because that's what it's called, Blue Ocean event, in the North Arctic, and in the summer. So then, like I say, it's a state change. What happens is it becomes very difficult for the ice to reform. So winter will come. It will get colder up there. Probably, almost certainly. I mean, I hope. I would think some ice will reform, or quite a bit, whatever. But it's just first year ice, right? Like it doesn't have a chance. Back in the old Arctic, you have ice that hell, I don't know, it could be centuries old, whatever. It's incredibly thick. It's dense. It's very resistant to melting. As resistant as ice can get. Anyway, but now you just have this thin layer after the Blue Ocean event, say 2020. You only have this thin layer of first year ice, which will almost immediately again melt when summer comes. So basically, the Blue Ocean, there'll be a little bit of resistance, maybe initially, possibly. Again, the warming is incredible at this point. But anyway, within 5 years of that, say you're going to get, again, say, be conservative, say 3. So like by, say, 2023, even in the winter, there will be no ice up there just because the climate will change. It'll be just warmer. You know what I mean? So at that point, well, actually, even at 2020, that's going to make the jet stream go berserk or disappear or, something, because what creates and controls the jet stream is the temperature difference between the Arctic and the mid-latitudes, right? So when the Arctic all of a sudden practically is as warm as anywhere else, anyway, it's going to be biblical, right? So again, and that's not like, that's not 2050 or even 2030. We're talking at the outside 2025, like seriously, like, very lucky 2027, maybe. That's only 10 years. So Anybody who happens to see this video, as well as Andrew, I mean, you know, like, well, my specific advice would be, Andrew, would be, you know, if there's any way to retire early, do it, because you want to enjoy your time while things are still relatively normal, which I honestly can't see lasting outside of another maybe 10 years, you know? Just saying, but just, again, literally based on the facts, so. Anyway, so that's I guess this one will go under doom and gloom, climate, whatever. But oh, and I'm gonna use your logo, Andrew. I just haven't bothered, you know, going through the bells and whistles to put it up there, which might be as simple as just selecting something and clicking. But I'm just it's after work. I don't have any energy right now, so blah blah blah. All right. Well, that's it. I really don't have any. I don't really think I have any other news of any sort. I mean, life is just kind of life. Could talk about a lot of other weird things, but that's all. I don't know if I want to put that out on the web, so we'll see about that. So anyway, have a good one until the next installment of The Brad Show. I'm your host, Brad. Talk to you later.